In the eyes of the world, the dark god is seen as pure evil. He kills habitually and then justifies it by saying it was for the good of the world. He once said, "This is the path the masses have chosen for themselves. One decides right and wrong for oneself. It is not decided by others. If one's sense of justice can be preserved by such a death, then that is enough." Anyone hearing this logic might think it's insane, but I understand the nature of this god. He just wants to protect the weak, naively simple like a fool. As I ascended step by step, the figure on the throne gradually became clear before my eyes. "Do you know who I am?" No one knows him better than I do, but it was his first time seeing me. "Of course I do. Your heir, god of the black mist. Cyan Vert, was it? I've never seen you before. And what makes you think you are my successor? I believe you must have already sensed the dark mist energy within me. There are two ways to become a successor. One is for the dark god himself to bestow the mist stone, and the other is for the mist stone to find a worthy successor on its own. I do not know you. Therefore, you must be the latter." When the mist stone suddenly disappeared from the altar last year, Air sensed the presence of a successor. So, his question now was just to observe my reaction. His tone became more ominous. "But what surprises me more is that you have found K-Ram. Even I cannot track her whereabouts. It seems you get along well with her." Hearing Air mention her, K-Ram remained silent, with a hint of dissatisfaction in her eyes. Air continued, "And that look in your eyes, well beyond your age." He paused and grinned. "I see. You're a visitor from a timeline, not mine." "What? A time he doesn't know? Was my rebirth completely unrelated to him?" I acknowledged his conjecture and voiced my inner doubt. "I'd actually assumed you were involved in my being here. If you think I am an all-knowing and all-powerful god, then you are mistaken." Air spoke calmly. "Actually, my powers as a god have been stripped away for a long time." He was right. This could be inferred from the state of his divine manifestations. I really shouldn't expect to find answers about my rebirth from him. But regardless, I think this is still a good thing. A perfect successor has come before me. This way, my workload has suddenly decreased. No, rather, I could do absolutely nothing. Cold sweat appeared on both K-Ram and my faces. Indeed, this was the Air I remembered from my memories, still so lazy and eccentric. But the next second, his expression suddenly turned serious. "However, it seems you've brought some troublesome things with you. Isn't the demon blade enough to satisfy you? You even dare to covet the favor of the holy sword." The corners of my mouth slowly curled up in response. "I currently have no plans to do anything with the holy sword. I'm just curious, if the whole world was unaware of the holy sword's existence, would it become utterly useless?" My mischief clearly left him speechless, and he slowly stood up. "Strange inclinations, but it is not really my business." Then he walked straight towards my direction. "Custom is custom. Let us go through the proceedings," asking calmly. "Then, as your direct master, my dear successor, what do you choose to do with these powers?" I looked up at Air. In my previous life, I was asked the same question. My response at the time was, "I will live for my brother." What a foolish answer. But neither of these two thoughts much of my answer in my past life. But why? Did they not want something from me? I remember Air unusually cautioned me. "Be careful. Nothing is more dangerous than blind obedience." It may be that Air already knew my pathetic end. Things have to be different this time. I slowly stepped forward and said, "I don't subscribe to a great cause or belief." Hearing this, Air was puzzled. I looked directly at Air and said firmly, "I'm going to use your power in an absolutely selfish way. I'm going to use it for myself." Air's voice remained calm as he slowly walked down the altar. "Right and wrong are for you to decide. But are you confident you will never regret it? Be careful with your answer because, based on it, I might choose to kill you here on the spot." I know well that Air never lies. Every word of his could mean life or death. I chose to confront my own heart, no longer listening to anyone else. "This is the path I am willing to choose," I said firmly. Hearing my answer, Air pondered for a moment. "It seems you already have a plan. Can't you tell me?" Hearing this, I flatly refused. "Well, that's okay, as long as you purify the names offered by my believers. In any case, I won't pry any further." That was no fun. He said this, then suddenly turned to K-Ram. "Now, I need to have a talk with my daughter." K-Ram jumped at the words, and in less than a second, Air grabbed her, casually kneading her. "You've changed much since I last saw you. Do you like your master too much? It's nice seeing you being so obedient." K-Ram immediately denied it. "What are you saying? You act job of a god." Air laughed even more heartily. "You've made your father very happy." Saying this, he pouted, preparing to kiss K-Ram. "Get away from me. I want to get closer to you. Unfortunately, I have nothing to give your master, so I'm just trying to give something to you instead." K-Ram's veins bulged, desperately pushing Air away. "Get off. What is wrong with you? Master, do something. Save me." Hearing this, I immediately turned my head to the side, adopting an indifferent posture. Wow, it's nice seeing a father and daughter getting along well. As Air's lips were about to touch K-Ram, a myriad of magic circles shone brightly. Then she underwent a transformation. In the next moment, K-Ram, who stepped out from the magic circle, had completely materialized her true form. K-Ram was puzzled and asked, "What? I have a body." I quickly checked my own life force, but found no decrease. Did Air use his own power? The newly bodied K-Ram immediately grabbed her old father furiously. "What have you done to me?" Air smiled innocently. "I used my life force to create a body for you. Don't you want it? Even if it's just to compete for favor in front of your master, having a real body is better, right?" K-Ram immediately flew into a rage, furiously striking back at him, and I could only silently watch all this. This parent-child parent-child relationship is really harmonious. The next day, when I returned to the academy dormitory, I found the situation completely unexpected. Brian is confused and asks, "My lord, what is the meaning of this?" I shrugged. "I don't really have an explanation for you. Just roll with it." Hearing this, Brian grew more nervous. "But my lord, things don't look that simple." Kram and Sica too were facing off, one the daughter of the dark god, the other the head of an assassin organization. The scene didn't look like it could naturally resolve. Kram scoffed. "As an instructor, isn't it weird for you to run to the dormitory to find a student early in the morning? Everyone will be talking about just what a special relationship you two must have." Sica responded nonchalantly, "It's inevitable. As a teacher, I have the responsibility to guide students on the right path. This is a very reasonable and normal teacher-student relationship. Being so conspicuous, shouldn't the head of the assassins be a bit more cautious? My master has enough help with just me. You stay away." Sica was not to be outdone. "He's my student. What I want to do is none of your business. Mind your own business." The atmosphere became more tense, both sides ready to fight. Truly a fierce battle. I can't watch this any longer, so I sneaked to the door, muttering softly, "I'm going for a walk." "Young master, don't leave me here," Brian pleaded. "Sorry, Brian, you are a step too slow." The verbal fight has escalated to a physical one. 10 minutes later, I finally reached the top of the academy's tower, successfully escaping that dreadful battleground. However, the scent of blood wafted to my nose. Is someone fighting? A figure with red hair was harshly thrown into a pile of debris, coughing up blood. The student sat up, suppressing the pain. 3 older noble students had him cornered in an alley. "Hey, why don't we try that thing? You're complete trash. You know that? Let's do it." A strange red orb appeared in the leader's hand. "Hey, look over here." Then, the noble student forcibly grabbed his jaw and opened his mouth. "I've brought you something really delicious. My friend made it himself. You're going to eat it, right?" The student tried her best to resist. "Please stop," a voice interrupted them. "You're being too cruel to a fellow student. As nobles, aren't you ashamed?" The leader with a scarred face paused, responding coldly, "Unfortunately, speaking of nobility, I am Barrett Louis Mill, the eldest son of the house of Duke Louis Mill, Garum Kingdom. And who might you be?" Aaron, undaunted, looked up at him. "I am Princess Aaron Sevelis of the Wuzif Empire." As Aaron brought out her princess identity to try to stop the violence, Barrett was unimpressed, even mocking that Aaron was just a 5th princess, and the Empire's authority was waning. "It's a great honor to meet you," Barrett added. Aaron refused his handshake but still insisted on intervening. She gazed at them firmly. "I'm not really in the mood to chat. I'd like to know what was going on here." However, Barrett's arrogance remained undiminished. "I think there's a misunderstanding here. Why don't we ask our friend directly? Tell her yourself, buddy." Hearing this, the student was shocked. "What?" Seeing the student not speaking, Barrett grabbed her collar and pulled him up. "Were we bullying you just now?" He compliantly echoed Barrett. "No, it wasn't anything like that," but his coerced expression was obvious to anyone. Hearing this, Aaron was shocked. "You don't have to hide it. Just look at you. Anyone can see." Before she could finish, the student interrupted. "It's fine. Please just go. We were just playing around." Hearing this, Barrett laughed maniacally. "That settles it, right? In fact, I'm starting to feel a little offended." Aaron could not remain indifferent. "Anyway, I'm taking him away from here." As she touched the student's arm, Barrett rudely blocked her. "I don't think you understood me. Didn't you hear Resimus telling you to leave? Upon my name as Princess of the Wuzif Empire, if you do not let me go." Before Aaron could finish, Barrett interrupted. "What can you do? You're just a weak 5th child." Suddenly, the next second, a sharp gust of wind flashed by, and he was abruptly knocked to the ground. Seeing this, Aaron was surprised. I paid no mind to Barrett, whom I had knocked down with one move, my eyes fixated on the red-haired Resimus. Was she really the Resimus I remembered? Once hailed as the strongest swordsman on the continent, she now seemed incapable of even defending herself. In my previous life, I had a duel with her. Resimus Klein was the greatest fencer of the continent and originally a citizen of the Wuzif Kingdom, but for some reason, after graduating from the academy, she entered the heirless house of Count Klein of the Garum Kingdom and changed her nationality for them. The duel was intense. I could block all of her attacks, and she could also block mine. She slashed through the ground. I immediately leaped to dodge the attack. However, the next second, I was utterly shocked. Without a break, she used this chance to launch a sneak attack. Seeing that she only slashed a shadow, she was taken aback. This short moment of confusion lowered her guard as I leaped high to attack her from the back. I accurately stabbed her in midair, and without letting go, we landed with great impact. I slayed her under the order of the Empire. The orders had been to assassinate her. However, when I infiltrated Klein Castle, I chose not to strike but gave her a fair duel instead. The reason was simple. Resimus had become the greatest fencer on the continent without any use of magic. Her swordsmanship had reached its peak, a determination that commanded my respect. It seemed like such a waste to just murder her without a fight. I must say, that battle was indeed a meeting of equals, a rare thrilling fight in my life. Whether it was a mutual recognition of heroism or a shared sense of tragic fate, opponents who have left such a profound impression on me are few. But now, seeing her so weakly bullied, I was very annoyed. At this moment, Barrett got up from the ground, still blustering. "Why can't people just mind their own business?" I thought who it was. "Cyan Vert, I heard you came back from the front lines. Do you want to join our little game?" "A little game?" My expression turned cold. He was about to make her swallow swallow a mana ball. If things go wrong, it could completely destroy the magic in her body. In the Royal Academy, where talent is highly valued, they find amusement in nullifying others' potential. Since you also enjoy forcing others to consume mana ball, I'll give you one as well. Seeing my mana ball, Barrett is gravely shocked. What? Never seen a large mana ball? Now, open your mouth. Enjoy. After settling everything, Aaron carefully bandaged Resimus' wounds and advised her to rest well. But why was she so smug when taking credit in my name? Those punks. Did you see how they ran when our Cyan showed them what for? Again using the term our Cyan. Unexpectedly, Resimus' injuries were more severe than they appeared, her tolerance truly exceptional. And as if she noticed my gaze, Resimus suddenly asked, "Do you know me, my lord?" Flustered, she added, "It just seems like you keep staring at me." I responded helplessly, "I thought you were someone I know, but it seems that I was mistaken. I'm sorry if it weirded you out." Though my words carried a deeper meaning, she sensitively picked up on the disappointment in my tone. Seeing this, Aaron quickly changed the subject. "Where's your dorm? I'll take you back. It wouldn't be good if they trouble you again." "I'm in the criminal, your highness." "Criminal? So you're a commoner." Aaron seemed surprised. Resimus hung her head and whispered lowly, "I was specially recruited to the academy by fencing instructor Beltane. He promised to sponsor me during my time here, but he was suddenly dismissed from the academy." I interrupted, "So now you have no support and are probably about to leave the academy, right?" Resimus nodded slightly, affirming the statement. Hearing this, Aaron was saddened. Before the two could react, I directly suggested, "Then, why not consider recruiting Resimus as your attendant, your highness? You might even learn some swordsmanship from a talented fencer." My words left both of them dumbfounded, but surprisingly, Aaron did not question my praise of Resimus' swordsmanship. "Impossible. How could I have a boy as an attendant?" Aaron said while pointing at Resimus. I calmly responded, "Resimus is a girl." Aaron stood frozen in place, while Resimus gave a sheepish smile. "Sorry, your highness. It wasn't my intention to deceive you. It's just that I've always been more comfortable with short hair and boys' clothing, so many people tend to make a mistake about me." After receiving Resimus' affirmative response, Aaron fell into self-doubt. Am I the only one who didn't recognize it? However, she quickly adjusted her mood and immediately accepted my suggestion. "In any case, I think that's great. What do you think of Cyan's suggestion? Would you like to be my attendant? That way, those who bully you won't dare touch you anymore. Plus, your life will be much more comfortable here and you'll get to focus on your studies." However, Resimus is so hesitant. "But why would you be so kind to me?" Hearing this, Aaron smiled. "Well, I guess I don't want to be lonely. And as an imperial princess, I can't just turn a blind eye to injustice." Resimus expressed her gratitude loudly and vowed to make Aaron proud. "I'll do my best, and I promise I won't bring you shame." "Thank you so much." "You don't have to thank me. This is all thanks to Cyan." Then Aaron turned to my direction. However, when the two looked for me again, they found that I had already quietly left. "I've done my part. I'll leave the rest to Princess Aaron," I thought to myself. Through this event, I also finally understood the real reason behind Resimus' defection from the Empire in my previous life. Imagine a sword saint who hasn't lost her magic power. Her future strength will undoubtedly be formidable, possibly even challenging for me to face. However, regardless, my attention is now elsewhere. As I fled from the dormitory this morning, Sica handed me my orders. This is my first cleansing assignment as a member of the Mist. How exciting. I looked at the order in my hand and thought, this is pretty tough for a first assignment. When I told Sica about this, she just answered with a smirk, "I believe in your potential." I don't feel good about this. If she's already trying to work me this hard for my first task, I'm afraid to think how hard she'll push me down the line. Just then, I sensed something dangerous. The next second, with a bang, the wall in front of me blasted. Fortunately, I was able to shield myself from the blast. What could it be? A tall figure blocked my view. A monster in the academy? He directly called out my name. "Are you Cyan Vert?" Looking up at him, I am puzzled. "You know who I am?" He immediately answered, "I do. Magic level 1 star. Physical level S, Cyan Vert, the youngest child of the House of Vert. Your name has been quite prominent lately." Then he sneered, "I am Seth Shaharkin. I'm first year just like you." Hearing this, I was puzzled. "You're telling me he's only 11 years old with that height and muscle? But his name, why does it sound so familiar? Was he in my previous life?" He continued while Resimusing his muscles. "I've heard of your exploits. You slayed monsters and survived the dragon's clutches. And you got a level S physical rating, which even I didn't get." With a determined eye, he said firmly, "Cyan Vert, fight me." There was a moment of silence. Finally, I remembered. The emblem on his chest is the royal crest of Spania. So, the rumors about the Prince of Sand entering the academy were true. Spania is a country in the middle of the desert in the continent's east. Their powerful military state was unified around their crown prince, who was born with natural talent in magic and combat. They were difficult for even the Wuzif Empire to conquer, but that powerful nation that prided itself on its firm solidarity later became a ruin. With the death of the crown prince, their only heir, the cause of death was a common cold. He had focused so much on training that he had completely neglected his health. I could never have imagined I'd run into the Prince of Sand here. "Give me your answer," he said impatiently. "In the Royal Academy, where magic and elemental levels are esteemed, a student like him who focuses on physical level is indeed rare. No wonder he wants to challenge me." Seeking the vain title of strongest physique, but now, I have more important things to do and don't wish to waste time here. This certainly didn't happen in the previous life. How irksome, but if I recall correctly, this Sand Prince, there is another rumor. Thinking of this, I replied, right now? He immediately answered, yes, right now. We'll find out who is the better man between the two of us, and I will not accept no for an answer. I know you want the same thing I do. I directly declined his duel invitation, which obviously puzzled him. All sparring matches must be approved by the Academy. We have to submit a formal request to the administrative office. Surprisingly, he complied immediately and urgently asked me for the location of the administrative office. I casually pointed in a direction, 3rd floor, main building. He immediately ran off. I'll get this sorted out right away, so don't you go anywhere, Cyan. Watching his retreating figure, I finally confirmed that the rumors about his head being full of muscles were not at all exaggerated. The administrative office is the other way. I don't know if there really is such a thing as a formal request for sparring matches, but I hope I don't have to see him for a while. I should focus on my purging task. In a secluded dungeon on the outskirts of the city, a guard came to report, Lord Zickerman, the product is ready. He immediately replied, then don't just stand there. Go tell the customers. This is Zickerman Albus. He is one of the wealthiest men on the continent. He is known to the public as a philanthropist who is generous with his donations, but in truth, he's scum that breeds and sells crossbreeds and even runs a slave market. Currently, he is instructing his guards to beef up security. This time's merchandise is incredibly valuable, and completing this deal could even boost his status further. Target confirmed. This might be easier than I expected. I silently drew the demon blade, but Kram suddenly told me that she sensed a complex energy here. Hearing this, I was puzzled. Complex energy? The target is hiding something strange, Kram added. Zickerman is currently looking at something in the cage. Finally, some peace and quiet. Sleep well, my moneymaker. I released black mist to envelop the surroundings, using the night as my best cover. Just then, Zickerman notices the black mist. With my exceptional dark perception, Zickerman's highly paid guards were beheaded one by one. By the time he realized it, only a personal bodyguard remained at his side. He drew his long sword, looking around in alarm. What are you doing? Get him, Zickerman commanded. Stop hiding and come out, the guard shouted. I moved to attack him, but he could only catch a glimpse of a shadow. It was just a moment of confrontation. His long sword was knocked away instantly. His knees buckled, and the next second, he was caught off guard and mercilessly slit his throat. Zickerman shouted in panic. Curse it all. Where did everyone go? I turned around coldly, my tone icy. You'll find out soon enough, because I'm about to send you to hell to meet them. You really did spend a lot of money hiring people, but just a word, it was pointless. Zickerman cried out again. I can give you anything you want. I am the richest man in the world. But all that responded to him was another cold slash of my sword. He curled up from the pain while I slowly recited his crimes. Zickerman Albus, you've carried out all kinds of inhumane experiments and crossbreeding, and you even run a slave market, which is illegal. Your death is well deserved. I'll give you 1 minute to repent for your sins. Then, I will let you die painlessly. Even so, Zickerman did not give up. He looked up at me, gritting his teeth, and then tears began flowing out his eyes. You're basically saying you're going to kill me. We're all just trying to make a living here. I only sold my products and slaves because there were buyers. Those who buy slaves are the real scum. Damn it, just what did I do that's so wrong? I had anticipated that a man who climbed to the top through sheer will wouldn't collapse easily. From the beginning, I guessed that he would never regret his actions. Your 1 minute is up. You can just die in pain. Wait. Ignoring his frantic pleas, a flash of the sword in my hand, I whispered coldly. 8 stance of the black mist, violent barrage. The sword light, like fine scales, flickered continuously, ending his hypocritical life. Such a death was not peaceful, and the purpose of the purification operation was exactly that. The remaining black mist served as a warning to those who would follow. Before leaving, I decided to take a look around. When Kram said that, she sensed 2 combined energies in the prison. Guided by Kram, I cut through the prison door, and a woman clutching a giant pink egg appeared before my eyes. It looks like she's already dead. She's just a human. There's nothing to see here. However, Kram gestured for me to pay attention to the giant egg. It was a dragon egg. Oddly, it contained a mix of 2 different energies. I took the dragon egg back to the dorm. Upon seeing it, Brian asked anxiously where I got such a thing. I happened to pick it up somewhere, I casually replied. Brian couldn't help but retort. What do you mean you just picked it up? Believe it or not, that's exactly how I found it during my walk. I hadn't expected that Zickerman's transactions involved a dragon egg. So, who could the buyer be? What if it suddenly hatches? Brian asked worriedly. I calmly explained. Don't worry, that's not going to happen. Dragon eggs require extremely stringent conditions for hatching. Even continuous infusion of the right elemental energy might not suffice. So, a dragon egg away from its mother is pretty much just a pretty stone. However, the next second brought a sudden turn of events that made us both widen our eyes. The eggshell cracked. Could it really be hatching? The egg really cracked, and a little dragon girl came out of it. Brian and I were utterly panicked. It hatched. What do we do? This is neither dragon nor human. So that girl was hugging a dragonkin? A cross between a dragon and a human. This egg was something much more troublesome than I thought. It looked at me with bright eyes, then jumped on my chest, shouting, Dada. This little dragon girl girl called me daddy as soon as she cracked the shell, and all I wanted was to send her away. Does she think I'm her father? Hearing this, even Kram couldn't help but laugh out loud. She called you dada. Only 11-year-old and you're already a dad. This is all your fault. Kram. A while ago, while holding the egg, I asked Kram, do you really think we should take it? What if it gets into the wrong hands? It could be bad. She answered, however, I am still hesitant. I suppose that makes sense, but you don't think it'll hatch, do you? No way. I've never seen a dragon egg hatch without its mother. This thing is just a dangerous rock. Well, now I've seen everything, Kram added. I couldn't help but demand, you said you'd never seen a dragon egg hatch without a mother. Kram shrugged, looking innocent, and said, which is why I said, now I've seen everything. But a crossbreed between a human and a dragon? I think the mere fact that she even exists is dangerous, Kram added. Hearing this, I thought to myself, Kram is right. This is a huge headache. The little dragon girl slept soundly in my lap. A half-human, half-beast. This world is much too dangerous of a place for something like this to live in. If the Academy finds out about this, the Chancellor will likely try to eliminate it to avert any external threats. The dragons pride themselves on their pure bloodline. If they find out about this child, it will warrant a swift execution. So, what reason do I have to bear such a huge risk? This little one was destined to face the world's malice from the moment she was born. Thinking about her tragic future, killing her now might actually be an act of mercy. With that thought, I reached towards her neck. Kram, noticing my intention, softly said, so, this is your choice? Never mind. I think it's better for her this way. If her life is bound to be full of suffering, perhaps it's kinder to end it now. That's right. It's probably better to end her life right now. Just then, the little dragon girl suddenly woke up. Dada, what am I hesitating for? Before I could kill her, she affectionately pounced on me, saying in a tender voice, Dada, love. She showed no wariness towards me, and her body was so warm. I lifted her into the air, staring at her innocent smiling face. What was this emotion welling up inside me? I guess things will work out one way or another. Her smile and warmth were reassuring. I sighed, finally making up my mind. Let's raise her. Kram looked at me, utterly baffled. In her mind, she thought, why? So, you can boss her around when she gets older? Meanwhile, back at the ducal mansion, Lady Margaret, though she had cancelled the assassination plan against me, was still restless, especially considering that her son Krantz was also in the academy and could be targeted for my vengeance at any moment. She was extremely uneasy. At that moment, Iselle burst in, interrupting her thoughts. Mother, you seem anxious. Is there anything I can do for you? I would be happy to relieve your worries. Margaret tried to appear calm and gratefully acknowledged his offer, but quickly made an excuse to leave. Now, only Iselle and his attendant, Kellen, remained in the room. My lord, Kellen reported, 6 dead knights were found in the woods near Valia's. My lord, the only knight that survived went to ruin with Lord Cyan, and the one that ordered the attack was just as we suspected. It was Duchess Margaret. Hearing this, Iselle was silent and then asked, anything else? Kellen paused, then added in a low voice, we've lost all contact with our agent within the academy after they told us about Lord Cyan being placed in the royal suite. Iselle coldly interrupted his servant Kellen. I already knew that. In other words, you've learned nothing about my brother. Kellen was immediately terrified. He knew Iselle's character all too well. He knew Iselle's disappointment. Lord Iselle refuses to keep anyone that disappoints him. I can't fail now. I've worked too hard to get this far. He pleaded desperately. Sir, please give me another chance. I will personally go to the academy to investigate. Please trust me. I won't disappoint you. Iselle was silent for a moment, then coldly responded, I know just how passionate you are about your job, Kellen. So, go ahead. Set off as soon as possible. I know my brother is hiding something. Find out what it is. As you wish, my lord, Kellen immediately answered. Meanwhile, Sica rushed into the dormitory. As Kram and I awkwardly tried to feed the little dragon girl, Sica barged in. What are you doing here? There's no class today. She noticed the unknown baby at first glance. Why is there a baby in the dormitory? Hearing this, I sighed. It's a long story. Please just tell me what you want. She immediately agrees. Yes, I suppose the explanation can wait. Things are quite urgent this time. You've stirred up some serious trouble. Sica shows a document, her tone serious. It's a request for a sparring match. Just what were you thinking? You should be keeping a low profile. Are you trying to attract as much attention as possible? Even the Chancellor says he's going to attend the match. I stared at the document, incredulous. That musclehead Seth had actually managed to find the administrative office and put in a formal request for a sparring match. Kram, on the other hand, appeared unconcerned. So what? It's just a duel between two 11-year-olds. I sighed helplessly. This Seth is not your ordinary 11-year-old. So, when is the match? In 2 hours. That soon? I was speechless. Soon after, Seth and I were standing in the dueling arena. I couldn't believe that this had turned into such a public spectacle. Unlike Seth's boiling blood, I felt only a headache coming on. He was full of fighting spirit, his eyes burning as he looked at me. I've been looking forward to this moment. I'm sure you feel the same. No, I don't. I responded flatly. I wanted to take you on in hand-to-hand combat, but they only allow fencing and magic. He asked tentatively, do you plan to use magic? If you won't, I won't either. Seth's face lit up with joy at my response. Great. I'm liking you more and more. Then I won't use it either. Before his words even finished, he launched an attack. Then let's see what you can do with your sword. His strike was incredibly incredibly fast. Despite his large frame and the heavy weapon, his speed was surprisingly quick. Facing his fierce strike, my best option was to cleverly deflect the sword blade at the moment of contact. Seeing this, Seth was actually taken aback. Facing an opponent like him calls for sophistication and precision. Seth immediately recovers, not a chance, then block my attack. However, he is actually amazed by my strength and thought to himself, he used the full momentum from my previous attack against me, and how is he blocking my sword with a mere rapier? This technique of diverting force is something I've honed through countless life or death battles. While Seth's sword skills are also impressive, he prefers to dominate quickly by leveraging his overwhelming strength. However, once his usual tactics fail, that's my opportunity. I keenly identified a gap in his swordplay and decisively executed a move, sheathing the sword blade. As he exposed a flaw, I grabbed his thighs with both hands. Seth was shocked, gritting his teeth. He thought, does he have eyes on the back of his head or something? I slammed him down hard onto the ground. This move isn't part of any formal swordplay, but is a trick developed in actual combat situations. After all, who said a sword duel must only involve swords? As Seth crashed towards the ground, he managed, in the nick of time, to support himself with his hand in an iron bridge move, followed by a sweeping counterattack. I didn't expect him to organize a counterattack in such a short time, which genuinely excited me. The audience was stunned. What was that move just now? Are they even human? Seth stood still, but the next moment, he smiled. Then his eyes sparkled with excitement again, and he laughed loudly. You've bested me with the sword, cyan vert. Now I'll have to do whatever it takes to win. I'll put everything I have into it. The criteria for winning a swordplay duel is to place the sword at your opponent's throat. His admission of defeat was quicker than I expected, which also showed that he's not just a brute relying on sheer power. Sure thing, I replied, but deep inside, I thought how exhausting this must be. I expect you to do the same, cyan vert. As his voice fell, his aura began to skyrocket, his strong muscles even bursting through his clothes. I couldn't help but look forward to the upcoming fight. So, they're using magic now. They're sparring with their swords and magic separately. What spirited students indeed. The Chancellor and instructor, Sica, were sitting in the spectator seats, observing the situation on the field. Considering that Seth's physical level is A and his opponent's cyan is S, the outcome of the sword duel was somewhat expected based on these metrics. But now comes the magic duel. The Royal Academy still values magic the most. Physical strength only determines how much magic one can wield. Now, Seth is the strongest among all students with a 3-star magic level, while cyan has only 1 star. How will he handle such a significant disparity in strength? The Chancellor's gaze was fixed on the field, but his question remained unanswered. Sica's mind was full of reproaches for my behavior, too eye-catching. Death Fist. The Sand Prince's elemental magic is indeed formidable. Just a simple charge-up amassed a sand fist several meters tall. Compared to magic, his robust physique and strength felt even more oppressive. So, we're using magic this time. I immediately dodged his attack. I quickly executed the missed shadow step, maximizing the assassin's advantage in speed, my figure flickering like a ghost. Seth, watching me, gritted his teeth and growled, "You're not getting away." Desert Tooth. Sharp sand spikes, like a cage, burst from the ground, locking me tightly in the center. Seth Shaharkin. I heard his magic level is 3 stars. Huge clouds of dust scattered everywhere, instantly throwing the arena into chaos. But as the dust cleared, I had already leapt out of the encirclement dangerously. Judging from the strength Seth displayed just now, he already possesses the capability to use 4-star magic. The 4-star barrier maintaining the duel seemed to be struggling. This battle might have begun to exceed control. Seeing his attack miss again, Seth couldn't help but taunt. How long are you going to keep dodging my attacks like a little weasel? He's trying to provoke me. Did you expect me to just get hit then? A warrior should never avoid his fate. You little schoolboy. I retorted coldly. You know we are actually schoolboys, right? Unexpectedly, it was he who became enraged first. I don't want to hear it. Sandstorm. Indeed, it's 4-star magic. Sica couldn't help but worry for me, but the Chancellor just watched the situation on the field, silent. Seth's voice was grave. I must decide the outcome of this battle. You won't be able to dodge this move. Better to concede early. Seth's challenge did not make me shrink back. Instead, it excited me even more. This time, I was not planning to dodge anymore. Let's face it head on. Meanwhile, on the other side, Brian was taking care of the little dragon girl back at the dormitory. Unexpectedly, his experience from a large family was now coming in handy. Princess, it's time for nom-noms, he called the little dragon girl. However, the next second, he was totally shocked. Impossible. You've grown this much already? Back at the arena, inside the barrier, magical elements surged wildly, and dust obscured the view. Everyone held their breath, eager to see the outcome of this duel. The surface of the barrier cracked. The instructors maintaining it sweated profusely. Damn it, just a duel between 2 lower-year students, and it's causing such a massive energy reaction. And what is the Chancellor doing? Sica finally couldn't hold back, urgently saying, "Chancellor, we must stop them now." But the Chancellor remained as calm as ever, casually remarking, "Wait a moment, something interesting is about to happen." When the dust finally settled, the scene inside the dueling arena stunned everyone. In my hands, a black void sphere was forming. Deploy secret arts. Void sphere. He's actually planning to use this here. This is a secret secret technique unique to the dark attribute. It has no offensive properties, yet it can annihilate all magical energy. Stop it now, Sica shouted. However, her shouts were ultimately drowned out in a tense atmosphere. The Chancellor chuckled. This science student really is something. The effectiveness of the Void Sphere has only one condition. The caster's magic level must always be higher than the opponent's. In just a breath, Seth's 4-star sand magic was completely annihilated by my 1-star Void Sphere. If it had been even a second later, the barrier would definitely have burst due to the overflowing magical energy. But at the same time, the scene made me appear even more conspicuous. The audience on the stands looked at me incredulously, buzzing with comments. The spell just disappeared in a blink of an eye. Was that black sphere a form of magic too? I've never seen any spell like that before. Just who is that kid? I asked him coldly. Do you want to continue? Panting, Seth answered, no, you win. Then he collapsed to the ground, weakened. I can't believe I lost. He shook his head with a wry smile. Both in swordsmanship and magic, I've lost in everything. I'm so depressed. Seeing his dejected expression, I couldn't help but wonder if I had been too harsh. But just a second later, he perked up again, his eyes reigniting with fighting spirit. Fantastic. I've grown tired of fighting with the weak, and now I have a burning motivation to train. Then he reaches his hand out. I don't know when, but I look forward to sparring with you again. You'll accept my challenge again, right? Facing his honesty and indomitable spirit, I couldn't help but grasp his hand in acknowledgement. However, I won't be joining you for the challenge. After the duel, I returned to the dormitory immediately, but the moment I saw her, my jaw dropped. I knew dragons grew much faster than humans, but this was ridiculous. It had only been a few hours, and she looked like she was already 6 years old. Welcome home, Daddy. She reached out for a cuddle, and I stood there with a complex expression. I guess dragon can grow really fast, too. At this rate, she'll be my age in no time. I turned away for a few moments, and she was already this big. Brian awkwardly commented, if she continues to grow at this rate, it will be impossible to secretly raise her in the academy. Someone added, this problem is getting more and more troublesome. You can't hide her existence. Sica remained as calm as ever, her voice tinged with reproach. I can help you hide the demon blade, but a dragonkin is a different story, especially if you keep drawing attention to yourself like you did today. Just what were you thinking? The little dragon girl can somehow flap her wings now, and her tail has also grown. Looking at her smiling face, looking up at me, I can't help but comment, look how much she's grown in the brief time I was away. Hearing this, Sica turned extremely serious. Surely, you are free to do as you wish with the things you find during your assignments, but bringing home a living creature like a dragonkin will pose problems. Brian has agreed to take care of any child rearing, and I've set up a barrier, so Karam and the child won't be detected. Before I could finish, Sica interrupted and handed me an envelope. If you avoid making any more trouble, that is. I can't help but comment, what a disappointing prize for winning the sparring match. Sica opened the door and was about to leave when she reminded me, stay out of trouble, Cyan. Then she looked at me seriously and said, you do not want to upset him. Brian curiously asked the letter's content. What is it, Master? Having won the academy duel, I should have been enjoying the honors bestowed upon me, but instead, I received a warning letter from the Chancellor. A warning. They want to expel us for poor conduct. The little dragon girl looked at me worriedly. Daddy, are we going to be thrown out? Will we end up on the streets? Where did she learn to talk like that? Does she even know what she's saying? But boy, she sure is growing fast. Even so, I couldn't help but reassure her. Not yet. You have nothing to worry about, little one. Hearing this, Brian worriedly asked, are you sure, Master? If you have to return to Valia's Isle. Before he could finish his sentence, I interrupted. Don't worry. I intend to go and contest it. The warning letter didn't come from the school's administrative office, but directly from the Chancellor himself. It means that he wants to see me face to face. If the Chancellor wishes me to come for a discussion, I must accept this invitation. In my past life, he once seriously asked me if I had decided to join the Order of the Light Knights, to live for my brother. I affirmed, but he bluntly said, this path is not suitable for you. Hearing this, I glared at him. Let me give you some advice. You must have realized by now, this choice will not bring you any benefits. No matter how many hardships you overcome, in the end, you will gain nothing. The result of choosing to be someone else's pawn is that you will blame everything on your brother. These were the Chancellor's words of advice to me in my previous life. I guess this time he will do the same. At this moment, Brian suddenly spoke up to remind me, Sir, shouldn't we give the little princess a name? A name? Yes, we can't very well keep calling her little one. Brian added. I had never thought about this question, but I blurted out a name on the spot. Nana. How about Nana? Brian immediately expressed his dissatisfaction. That's too casual, sir. You didn't even think about it properly. But the next second, the little dragon girl cheered and shouted, Nana, this name is very special. I want to be called Nana Vert. Since she likes it, that settles the name. I just don't know when she learned my last name. While Brian thinks that the other children are going to make fun of her because of her name, the scene shifts to the Chancellor's office at the Royal Academy. The Chancellor sits behind his desk and is writing something when he freezes. His eyes slightly narrowed, secretly marveling at my performance in the duel arena. Cyan Vert. I knew he had great potential, but he swallowed up a 4-star spell with a 1-star sphere. His potential is something to be feared. He could clearly see that the level of combat was not my limit. That's why he issued issued the warning letter in his personal capacity, forcing me to meet with him. In my past life, Chancellor Kundal Kusal was always the Emperor Dion Sevela's teacher and the father of the former Empress Diana Kusal. He himself is one of the few 9-star sorcerers on the continent. Since Empress Diana's death, he has devoted himself to cultivating young talent at the Royal Academy. But one thing I've always wondered, I always thought he was a pacifist who insisted on neutrality. Yet one day, he suddenly intervened in the succession battle for the throne in my previous life. Did his personality change at some point? Perhaps. Today I might find the answer here, but I suddenly stopped on my track. I see he is as mischievous as ever. When my hand touched the air, a powerful energy barrier emerged. He obviously knew I would come here today, yet he still set up a 9-star magical barrier at the door. Is this a test for me? It seems I have no choice but to accept. The old man inside also sensed my presence and couldn't help but reveal a hint of a smug smile. Now, what will you do? Cyan Vert, you will have to overcome a great sorcerer to get through that barrier, he thought to himself. But the next second, the sound of breaking glass from the windowsill shattered his confidence. I landed steadily inside the room, looked at him directly, and said, Chancellor Kusal, I am Cyan Vert, a first-year student of the Academy. I have come to contest the warning I was given. The Chancellor's expression darkened, clearly surprised by my choice to bypass the main door's barrier and enter through the window. This thwarted his arrangements, but he didn't dwell on my trespassing and allowed me to continue and asked, contest a warning? Yes, I saw that the warning came from the Chancellor's office, but I've become certain of something after seeing the barrier outside the door. The warning letter was just an excuse, right? Its real purpose was to test my potential, he generously admitted. You are right. Although the outcome was unexpected, you have indeed proven your abilities. However, I will not withdraw the warning letter. You may try to persuade me in other ways. I was silent for a moment, then became serious. May I ask you a question first? He nodded with a hint of confusion, and I boldly asked, Mr. Chancellor, do you wish for the prosperity of the Empire or honor for your family? My question changed his expression instantly, and he responded coldly. Such a rude and bold question, even I cannot ignore. But I was not deterred by his tone and pressed on. If the Emperor suddenly dies, and the 3rd or 4th prince shows ambition for the throne, you will still not side with anyone. Is that correct? The anger in the Chancellor's response was clear. That is not only bold, it is downright impudent. You accused me of being Iselle's puppet, but I don't see how you were any different. In my previous life, the Chancellor played an important role in helping Prince Lionel Sevelis ascend to the throne. However, history proved that Lionel was a complete tyrant, brutal and heartless. He killed all of his siblings who vied for the throne, and when Chancellor Kusal protested the killing, he was charged with treason. He had been able to look ahead into everyone's future except his own. He slammed the table in fury. What utter foolish nonsense. Do you think the peace that has persisted for the last 100 years can be so easily toppled? I assumed you to be a great talent, but I see now that you are a great dunce. I calmly countered him. Do you really think so? Your daughter, the mother of the crown prince and the 2nd princess, died from illness, and the 3rd prince and the 4th prince also have the capability to contest the succession, especially the family of the current empress, Cassandra Nephilis, whose greed for power is well known worldwide. They will stop at nothing to maintain their power in the empire. I continued, in my view, the peace of the empire is already on shaky ground, and when that peace truly breaks, this academy will also meet its end. The Chancellor stared in disbelief. Could an 11-year-old child really be saying this? He nearly dissected the empire's political intricacies with clarity. His tone was low yet filled with doubt. What are you trying to achieve by telling me all this? I responded word by word. To negotiate. I will help you protect your family and the peace of the academy. So please, retract this warning letter. The Chancellor remained silent, his expression complex, but I knew he had taken in everything I said. Then he chuckled, which puzzled me. In the next second, the glow of the magic circle flared up, and the aura of a 9-star great mage instantly pressured the surroundings. He said coldly, what capability do you have to so arrogantly offer your help? Now, you will feel the price of your arrogance. With a flick of his finger, golden chains spiraled upwards, dancing in the air, as if ready to bind me at any moment. Chains of judgment. The chains twirled, suspending me midair. So you want to test me again, Chancellor Kusal? You may be powerful, but you will not be able to escape my level 9-star chain tower so easily. He can't help but shake his head. You think too highly of yourself, Cyan. Hearing this, my lips curled up. Then allow me to demonstrate, Chancellor. Adapted Void Sphere. As the Void Sphere expanded, the shock in the Chancellor's eyes became unmistakable. This is absurd. No matter what, this is only a 1-star magic, but it is swallowing my spell. This moment's turn of events completely overturned his understanding. What kind of genius is this child? Just what are the limits of this boy's potential? He watched everything as the energy dissipated. I stood calmly in front of him and said, now, have I proven myself of some worth to you? The Chancellor was silent for a moment, eventually retracting the warning letter, and said in a deep voice, I take back this warning letter, but is that truly all you want of me? I smiled slightly and answered, yes, I just want to keep attending the academy without any trouble. Are you absolutely certain? He asked again, which I immediately answered, yes, I am. In this life, I do not wish to see the peace of the academy fall again. Meanwhile, on the other side, Brian had left the market after after purchasing supplies. Considering Nana at home, he had bought a lot of sweets. Just thinking about how much food a child could eat made him unbearably happy. It's been a month since he became my knight. Despite knowing his modest talents, he always believed that I would repay his loyalty with trust, but he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Today, he noticed that the streets were unusually quiet, but he wasn't sure if he was just imagining it. Just then he heard footsteps. "Who's there? Come out, whoever you are." Brian looked around, wondering if he was overreacting when a group of figures slowly emerged from the shadows of the alleyways. Recognizing them, he was immediately tensed and frowned his eyebrows. "You." However, before he could continue, he was attacked and dropped his purchased supplies. And just like that, Brian is nowhere to be found. After talking with the Chancellor, I agreed to occasionally attend classes, but I found that I was utterly bored out of my mind. To think I'd have to take the same classes I took 30 years ago. This is basically torture, and since I don't have any purge assignments, I think I'll just go and train. What a long day. And where do you think you're going, Cyan? I was startled, and only when I looked up did I realize it was Princess Erin. "Class isn't over yet," she added. "I'm going to the bathroom, Your Highness." "That's a lie. That is clearly not the way to the restroom. Where are you really going?" "Lady Erin, you must maintain your dignity as the Imperial Princess." Faced with Erin's relentless questioning, I had my ways to respond. "Did you just allow Resimus to call you by your name? Is this a change of topic?" "Yes, I want her to call me Erin privately." "Speaking of which, why do you still call me Your Highness? Are we friends?" I averted my gaze. "You are a princess, and I am just a commoner. Isn't it natural for me to address you as Your Highness?" "I'll take that as a compliment then. You're too serious." Just then, someone called out Erin's name. When she saw who it was, her expression immediately tensed. I recognized these two people. "It has been too long, Erin. They are the current queen's two sons, Prince Fabian and Prince Nerobian." Erin stepped forward to greet them, but what she got in return was the prince's mockery. "You're so grown up, yet you still hang around with commoners, and it seems like you always mix with peasants. Birds of a feather flock together." Their attitude towards Erin was filled with disdain, and when they saw me, they directly called out my name. I stepped forward to greet them. "It is a pleasure to meet Your Highness, Cyan Vert, the youngest of the House of Vert, at your service." And they did not hide their impression of me. Passed by Erin praising my performance in today's duel. "If we have a party, we'll definitely invite you. We can have a good chat then." Their attitude completely sidelined Erin. Nerobian even directly said that this was a rare opportunity for me to become friends with such distinguished princes. Only then did they finally notice Erin, who had not yet stood up, and their mockery was even more apparent. "But my invitation excludes you. Don't get too full of yourself." Hearing this, Erin can't help but clench her fist. Power corrupts, and stripped of their regal facades, they are merely ordinary people more easily swayed by passions and desires. "Recognize your place. One must be aware of oneself," Nerobian added. Watching their retreating figures, even Resimus couldn't help but question their princely status. She probably didn't expect to see such a dismal sight of these high and mighty figures today. "Why are they so nasty?" Resimus added. "They are still my family. As the saying goes, blood is thicker than water," Erin said softly. I couldn't help but interrupt her. "I don't think so. In my view, they treat you worse than they do strangers." Hearing me say this, Erin can't help but be utterly shocked. In the face of power, familial bonds are meaningless. Thus, their treatment of you just proves their wariness towards you, merely using this method to suppress you. There's no need to feel discouraged or upset. Now if you'll excuse me. As I turned to leave, Erin's face flushed red, like a burning sunset. "Lady Erin, are you feeling all right?" Resimus nervously asked. When I returned to the dormitory, I found only the little dragon girl sleeping soundly. Brian and K-Ram were nowhere to be seen. I called out, and K-Ram arrived belatedly. "Coming. Can't a lady get any sleep around here? Why are you in your spirit form?" She had reverted to her spirit form, explaining that it made it easier to conceal her presence. Then, she asked what I needed. "Help me find Brian." This puzzled her. Then she immediately bristled. "Do you think I'm a dog? Why should I be the one to find people? That's not the right way to use me." But the next moment, she suddenly stopped complaining and sniffed several times. "I believe you also smell it. The scent of blood." Hearing this, my eyes widened. Meanwhile, on the other side, just 15 minutes later, Brian was thrown several meters, falling to the ground covered in bruises. The leader taunted triumphantly. "You should have just come with us when asked nicely. Now you've made things complicated. I thought a guardian knight from the Vert family would be strong, but you're just a waste. I'm going to chop you into pieces and send them to your master as a gift. You can thank him for this. This is the price for daring to lecture the great Barrett Louis Mill." I still feel like vomiting when I think of that day. Brian finally understood the situation. The opponent's behavior was not only despicable but also a classic case of incompetence taking its anger out. He felt extreme disgust. Even so, Brian did not give in, instead coldly mocking with a sneer. The young master was completely enraged, showing displeasure. For a mere guard to still not have submitted by now only made him look incompetent. "Madman, has your brain been knocked senseless? You dare to be so stubborn. Kill him." Just as Barrett ordered the execution, my voice suddenly rang out, coldly stopping him. "Barrett Louis Mill, so it was you." Brian immediately recognized my voice, looking up at me. He was in a pitiful state, hardly a spot on his body unmarred. Listening to him, Brian's voice seemed injured. "You've made a complete mess of him. Even his vocal cords appear damaged." On the other hand, Barrett was completely unharmed. It was clear who was causing trouble. When Barrett first saw me, cold sweat slid down his forehead. The fear that had once overwhelmed him due to a formidable creature now became the source of his irritation. Cyan Vert, you're walking into your own grave. What a pleasant turn of events. I will tear your guts apart first. Hearing this, I can't help but grin. I can't wait to see you try. 8 stance of the black mist, violent barrage. A sharp sword light passed, and blood fell like cherry blossoms in death. No one is my match. These mercenaries are nothing more than scoundrels who follow their master in oppressing the weak, their long-term arrogance having blinded them to what a real battlefield of slaughter looks like. In an instant, all the mercenaries fell in a pool of blood, nearly all of them dead. Barrett was horrified. He defeated my mercenaries in the blink of an eye. Is there no way to defeat him? He finally recalled the fear he had felt when my power had controlled him. Just who in the world is this monster? Damn it, Cyan Vert, I'll kill you. Magic flickered in his hands, but the next second, I closed the distance and delivered a flying kick, sending him tumbling several times and crashing into the alleyway. He just barely recovered from the crash when I said, "You still haven't learned your lesson, have you?" I slowly walked towards him. Is tormenting the weak really that much fun? He remained unmoved, sneering as he said, "What does my hobby have to do with you? Are you really going to kill me over this?" Barrett Louis Mill, the eldest son of the House of Louis Mill, the most powerful force in the Garum Kingdom. He was infamous in my former life. He would often beat his servants and burn small animals alive for his own entertainment, until one day, his depravity finally crossed the line. He ruthlessly took the life of one of his classmates, and his excuse was that he was simply practicing magic. But due to his prominent background, these crimes were all swept under the rug, and he never faced any real punishment. The mist gave me orders to purge him, and I will never forget what I saw when I went to his manor. There, I found countless servant bodies, stored in a dark, damp basement. After torturing him, I ended his life using the most painful method I knew. But what haunts me is the cold smile on his face as he said, "End it quickly, don't drag it out." I die satisfied because I've already gotten the fun I wanted. That face, those words, are still vivid in my mind to this day. Looking back, perhaps killing him like that was not the best punishment. Just as he said, he had already enjoyed all the fun. It was a completely inadequate price to pay for completely changing someone's life. I firmly grabbed his mouth. I gathered a magic sphere, and this time, I would not show mercy. Do you know the consequences of what you're doing? I'm Barrett Louis Mill, the future heir of the Duke that rules the Garum Kingdom. I naturally understood that if I killed him now, it could trigger a war between kingdoms, but that didn't mean I would back down from punishing him. You're talking too much. I pushed the magic orb into his mouth. You don't have to like me. You can even continue to hate me, and I'll allow you to slander me behind my back. But you shouldn't have laid your dirty hands on my subordinate. The magic orb kept devouring Barrett's body. He scratched himself in agony and screamed. All of this was clearly seen by a figure on the roof. I didn't expect him to be hiding such powerful strength. Now is a critical time for the plan. I must immediately inform Lord Iselle. Just as he was about to take action, a sharp blade pressed against his neck. "So, it has been you secretly tracking my dear student all this time?" Sica's voice carried a hint of chill. After dealing with Barrett, Brian also slowly regained some strength. "I'm sorry. I didn't expect there would be so many people ambushing me." Yet I stared at his face, beaten up to a pulp, and couldn't help but speak. "Are you sure you're the subordinate I trained? Why would you participate in a battle that was doomed to be lost? Is this the loyalty you swore to me?" My reproach made Brian feel guilty again, and he kept apologizing, but apologies were not what I wanted. "You should have run. I get what you were trying to do, but are you really so foolish? I don't need you to risk your life for me in the name of loyalty, so don't do anything this brash again. It only irritates me." Brian bowed his head again, sinking into self-blame. "It seems I really am not good at comforting people. How long do you plan to watch from the sidelines, Master Sica?" As my words fell, she appeared with the entire force of the Assassin's Guild. If I hadn't noticed that, I would have been derelict. With Sica's appearance, she said coldly, "I've brought you a gift," and a bound man in black was thrown to the ground. "This presence is the one who has been following me. You've noticed all along?" To this, I affirmed, "More or less." Sica sighed. "I admit you're talented, possess strength beyond that of the Mist Assassins, and have the cunning and wisdom to persuade the Chancellor. Your spirit is also resilient enough to wield a magic sword. By all accounts, you are the ideal successor, but you're too conspicuous, and more people will start to doubt you. This tracker is just the beginning." I promised her, "I'll be more careful in the future, but I don't intend to live by the book. If anyone harms my subordinates, no matter who they are, I will defeat them." Sica glanced at me and surprisingly did not continue to press this point, but instead said, "Protecting your own is necessary, and I believe you can handle it." After speaking, she turned to leave and mentioned she would help me deal with Barrett and his remnants. Now, only the person tailing me remains. "What are you going to do with me? Are you going to kill me?" Hearing this, I grinned. "Kill you? That would be too easy." He laughs maniacally. "You'd better not think about interrogating me. I won't reveal a single word." I already knew his identity, making interrogation seem superfluous. "You're Kellen, Iselle's right-hand man, aren't you?" Moreover, in my memory, he never strayed from Iselle's side. In a past life, he even grew jealous because Iselle valued my strength. So, his purpose here was not hard to guess. Killing him would be too easy for me, but I have a better way to handle it, which will be more beneficial to my plans. Dark energy surged around me, making him suddenly uneasy, and he said warily, "What do you want to do to me? Stay away from me." Creation, shadow psyche. Legend has it that a person's shadow harbors a second personality. This advanced magic I had only used once before in a previous life. So, I'll return the favor with a gift. And just like that, Kellen screams in agony. As dawn broke, Princess Erin appeared at the training grounds with her guard Resimus, as diligent as ever. Resimus's swordsmanship is unparalleled in the world, and it only took her 2 rounds to win easily. "Victory is mine, Your Highness. It seems there's no way I can defeat you in swordsmanship." Resimus smiled slightly. "But haven't I told you, when we're alone you should call me by my name, not Your Highness." "Forgive me, Your Highness. I told you, it's Erin." Just then, they noticed that I was also training. Compared to the friendly relations among the girls, when they turned their gaze toward me, they only saw my training with the guard Brian. I was hitting hard, not pulling any punches. For a low-ranking knight, although he never had the chance to receive systematic swordsmanship instruction, his endurance was excellent. However, in my view, this was far from enough. If he wanted to be useful in future battles, then endurance training, as the foundation of all training, must be exceptional. Only then could he gain twice the result with half the effort in advanced training. "Are you tired already?" Brian gritted his teeth and responded, "No, my lord. I can still hold on." But along with his reluctant cry, there was also blood foam from his throat. It can't be helped if this training is difficult. He could be attacked at any moment, like what happened with Barrett. Brian must be able to defend himself. "But my lord, are you sure about that Kellen fellow? Don't worry about him. He's on our side now." Previously, while using the spell, it's quite straining after not having done it for a very long time. Creation, shadow psyche is a 9-star darkness attribute spell. It creates a new personality from the shadows, allowing me to control the subject as I wish. However, this magic is extremely difficult. Even in my past life, I only used it once. Once the shadow psyche successfully took over Kellen's consciousness, he confessed everything. "I have come to Ruin under orders to watch over Lord Cyan." Hearing this, my mouth curled up. "And who is your master and lord?" "I had originally served Lord Iselle, but I now wish to serve you, Lord Cyan. I beg you to accept me." I accepted his loyalty, but still sent him back to Valia's to continue staying by Iselle's side. At the same time, I instructed him to convey the information I had obtained these days to Iselle without missing a word. "Your servant, Kellen Diego, will do as you command, my lord." When he left, his eyes were filled with loyalty. His eyes were so full of loyalty that it was kind of creepy. Something about him makes me nervous, but it should be fine, right? Erin also joined our conversation at this time and mentioned the recent student attack incident at the academy. To enhance her self-protection, she now practices at the training grounds with Resimus every weekend. The student attack incident she mentioned was actually related to Barrett. When he was found, he was a bloody mess, barely conscious. However, no matter how others questioned him, he refused to reveal what had happened. There were many speculations within the academy, and as the perpetrator, I was very clear. He didn't forget, he just didn't want to talk. The moment I drove the magic orb into his body, his magical structure was completely destroyed. He could never practice magic again. For someone in a high position, openly revealing one's weakness would only lead to endless plots and attacks. Thus, he would not only actively help me keep this secret, but even worry that I might disclose it. However, Resimus's reaction was unexpected. I thought she would be pleased to hear this news, as Barrett had once tried to harm her in the same way, and now his punishment was well deserved. Before Resimus could react, a crisp shout suddenly pierced the sky. A thin figure in a floral dress leaped from a high building. Everyone watched incredulously. It was Nana. Hadn't I asked Karam to stay in the dorm to take care of her? Damn Karam, he must be slacking again. The next second, Nana, who could only briefly control her wings, plunged straight into Erin's arms. "Daddy!" Nana found Daddy. Erin was initially stunned and thought she must have misheard, while Nana kept on pointing at me, indicating I was her daddy. Then a surge of rage rose. "Daddy, how do you explain this? When did you? With whom? Explain this to me clearly." So, I have some explaining to do. Thinking of this, I can't help but sigh. It took quite an effort to clarify Nana's origins. After returning to the royal hall, Erin finally let out a sigh of relief. She is not Cyan's child after all. Thank goodness. I completely had the wrong idea because she called you daddy, but I did not expect you to have such a soft side, Cyan. Hearing this, I thought to myself, oh no, I cannot let her have any dirt on me. I had been worried she might use this as an excuse to make some strange demands. Brian is also nervous, thinking the academy will expel us if they find out, and Princess Erin even knows Nana is a dragonkin. Don't worry, Cyan, I won't tell anyone. Really, Your Highness? Facing our surprised looks, Erin stood firm. Right, Resimus, you'll agree too, right? Resimus finally snapped out of the soft touch of Nana's small body. Sure, I don't have any friends to tell anyway. This response petrified Erin on the spot. Seeing this, I was puzzled and asked Erin, but why? Because I feel pity for her. As neither dragon nor human, she will not be accepted anywhere. It is certainly fortunate for her that you have taken her in. After pondering for a moment, Erin smiled and said, you wouldn't mind if I made visits to your dormitory sometimes, would you? I countered. My dormitory? Erin's face immediately flushed red. Do not misunderstand me. I just want to come by occasionally to look after Nana. but the other sentence she hid in her heart, although she didn't have the courage to say it out loud. Just thinking about it made her blush. Nana already has a dad. Does she now need a mom too? I had no reason to refuse her request, so I said, alright, but this stays between us. Do you promise? Aaron eagerly nodded in agreement. Our secret? Aaron can't help but smile at the thought, but as I turned to leave, the blush on Aaron's face deepened. Resimus asked with concern, Aaron, are you alright? Are you sick? Aaron was momentarily dazed. He said, our secret. Does that mean our relationship is now closer? When I returned to the dormitory to confront Kram, she looked completely unconcerned. Such interesting things happened while I was asleep. Why didn't you tell Aaron about living with a magic sword too? I was furious. Shut up. Reflect on your own negligence. Falling asleep while supposed to be taking care of a child. Kram continued his lackluster response. What can I do? Like father, like daughter. You, as her father, always do as you please. At that moment, Brian came out holding Nana, trying to mediate. May I suggest that we take her on a walk? I think she feels a lot of pressure always staying here. Hey, that's a good idea. I complimented Brian. I am honored, my lord. Then I shall take her out immediately. Meanwhile, in the skies near the outskirts of the city, two flying figures suddenly stopped. What's happened? Lord Lucian, I smell weakness. Where are we right now? We are not quite at Ruin, but we are close. He sensed again to confirm, Ruin Academy? We may have to delay our return. I sensed the existence of something that cannot be allowed to live. At the same time, in an open space on the outskirts of Ruin, it was the first time I took Nana out for a walk. Nana was exceptionally excited, fluttering her little wings back and forth. Seeing this, I smiled and thought, she seems to be enjoying herself. This is a plain about 6 miles from Ruin. It should be safe enough to give Nana some much-needed air. Kram interjected timely. Oh my, you're a full-fledged father now. Why not find her a mother too? Like that princess, for instance. But I immediately tensed up as a strange scent was rapidly approaching us. Lucian gritted his teeth. How abominable. Nana, watch out. The next second, a huge impact swept over the spot where Nana had just been, and Brian quickly held Nana in his arms to dodge the attack. Brian, is Nana alright? I immediately asked. Yes, she is safe. Both of you, stay behind me. A deep voice came from the smoke. What a disgusting smell. The smoke cleared, and in front of us were two pure-blood dragons. Unlike Nana's mixed heritage, they were pure-blood dragons. The presence of these high beings and the oppressive aura of the magical dragons were released, causing Nana to tremble in fear, quickly hiding behind me. Their demeanor clearly indicated they meant no good. When they spot Nana, so that's what it was. That foul stench. It smells absolutely revolting. High Silver Dragon Lucian said with a disgusted face. The Red Dragon, Catalina, spoke condescendingly. Dragonkin, how did such an abomination come to be? Human, are you the owner of that half-breed? And you even own a magic sword as well. Kram, hearing herself mentioned, coldly asked, how dare you talk about me like I'm some mere object? Shut up. Catalina immediately flew into a rage. You inferior creature. You have inherited divine power yet willingly serve as a human slave. You bring shame to superior beings. Kram is not one to take things lying down and retorted immediately, you must have a death wish. Just as the two were about to clash, the Silver Dragon Lucian intervened to stop Catalina's fury. Don't worry, I'm not interested in you, nor do I wish to fight inferior beings. However, you must hand over that half-breed to me. Hearing this caused Nana to tremble in fear. Half human, half dragon, she is perfect as experimental material. Hand her over, and I will spare your lives. His words ignited my fury. Shut up. My firmness stunned Lucian for a moment. He was clearly accustomed to looking down on all beings, enjoying the high position and the obedience of others, but now he had touched my raw nerve. Hand over Nana to such a person? Impossible. I repeated again. I told you to shut up, you glorified lizard. Lucian, furious but amused, instantly unleashed a thunder blade. A hurricane burst with lightning beside me. I hastily dodged while signaling Brian to quickly take Nana and leave. A deep furrow appeared where I had just been standing. Truly impressive technique, I thought to myself. He managed to utilize lightning energy with such mastery. Lucian put away his lightning spear, his tone full of disdain. That's why I say, you are inferior beings. The natural talents of dragons are far beyond what a human body can contend with. Is that so? I sneered. Here, I should have gone all out from the start. Ninth stance of the Black Mist, manifestation of the magic sword. The powerful aura released by the demon blade immediately caught the attention of the Red Dragon Catalina, who quickly warned Lucian, Lord, be careful. However, he just showed a hint of surprise. It is the power of the outcast. The day is filled with surprises, but in the end, he is nothing but an inferior creature. However, the next second, the inferior human he spoke of flashed to his left, wildly swinging the demon blade several times. He scrambled to defend, losing his previous composure. Imprudent human. Countless energies of lightning burst forth from him. He immediately released the spell Shockwave. Immediately after, a thunderous array spanning tens of meters appeared above me, trapping me below and wildly unleashing violent thunder elements. Starting with a big move, third stance of the Black Mist, foggy descent. Endless dark elements surged forth, the thin blade slashing fiercely towards Lucian. However, in the next second, a blazing red barrier appeared behind Lucian. The Red Dragon Catalina intervened just in time, blocking this deadly strike for Lucayan. I almost forgot. I am fighting against 2 magical dragons. Lucayan's expression changed drastically, and he shouted, Catalina, stand back. This is not your fight. However, his concern only fueled Catalina's competitiveness. Don't worry, I'll block his attacks. I shall not lose. This flame barrier, imbued with 1,000 years of magical power, cannot be penetrated by an inferior human whose lifespan doesn't even reach 100 years. Before she could finish, my new move was already unleashed. Misty Blade, 8 fluttering petals, which made her utterly shocked. Fine sword lights flickered like scales, my figure rapidly darting, resembling the weaving of the Grim Reaper, shattering everything in front of me. Catalina's prized fire barrier, under the annihilating power of the dark attribute, instantly turned to nothingness. Her eyes still held traces of reluctance as she fell heavily from the sky. How could he break through it? In the next second, I immediately deliver a 2-fold blow attack, slicing her to several pieces. Her final murmur to Lucayan went unspoken as she died. Everything happened in the blink of an eye, and by the time the dust settled, Lucayan had put away his earlier arrogance and was looking at me with a complex expression. Who are you? His voice was low and cold. You are but a god of the mist, without any authority. Why do you still possess such great strength? Tell me, who are you? But my response was nothing but indifference. The tense atmosphere thickened, the battle seemingly just beginning. I see you have no intention of answering. Very well, I shall consider you a worthy opponent. His tone carried a trace of reluctance, a complex spell murmuring from his lips, endless lightning swirling around him. His form began to rapidly expand, growing larger. Is he polymorphing? This was a secret art of the dragon race, allowing them to forsake their human form and return to their most formidable dragon form. Teeth that look like it can crash anything and wings that span several meters. When Lucayan finishes polymorphing, he let out a deafening roar, but at the same time, it meant that he was at his most vulnerable right now. I leaped up, the dragon's long arm like a stairway to the heavens. Lucayan looked at me, puzzled, and thought to himself, could it be? Does he know the vulnerability of polymorphing? A mere human? I surged forward like an arrow, smashing down hard, the demon blade piercing through the dragon's skull with the force to shatter heavens. In that moment, Lucayan's pride completely collapsed, replaced by endless panic. I must escape from here now, he roared in his mind, but it was too late. Within the Mist Sword, there is a technique where the attack unfolds from a single point but spreads like tree roots in all directions, fracturing internally while remaining unaltered externally. This was precisely the perfect technique to use against a dragon that couldn't move at this moment. Misty Blade, giant tree root. A piercing dragon roar echoed across the sky, blood like crimson mist, spraying across the heavens. By the time Brian arrived at the dragon's fall with Nana, he was shocked by what he saw and immediately covers Nana's eyes. This is because I had already started the feast of the whole dragon. Have some, Brian. This is precious meat. But Nana's voice cut in before Brian could respond. Nana wants some too. I immediately refused her request. Although this precious dragon meat could indeed make one stronger, cannibalism, who knows if there might be some adverse effect on her. You don't get any.